Hello there, Internet. So, today I'm exhausted, and today I figure, hey, what better way to go ahead and try to relax and to sit back and play some guitar? I figure since I'm playing guitar, I may as well, make a video and show you guys, this little beauty right here. We are going to go ahead and continue our little demonstration about various different guitars that I have in my inventory. And they're not necessarily anything special, but boy, do they have some pretty interesting stories behind them. So this right here is a first act guitar, kind of a small one, definitely a children's guitar. And I never really learned how to play this guitar, but I've had it for basically my entire life. Whenever I had gotten this guitar, it was given to me by my grandmother, who is now passed, back whenever, my age could be counted on one hand. And although at the time I had no idea, what it even was, to me this was basically just a toy. I didn't realize it was an actual musical instrument. I never really even looked into trying to learn how to play this thing. But I do remember I have a couple of the remnants of stickers on the back, right? And back then, whenever I'd gotten this guitar, of course it's a child's guitar, and it came with a bunch of stickers and a bunch of designs and whatnot. Oh, would you look at that? I'm just now seeing that. Oh my god. That right there is my grandmother's signature. Holy Christ. I think I need a second on that one. Big G, that's what we called her, Big G. You know what? That is what this guitar's new name is, Big G, named after my grandmother who gave it to me. But anyway, back whenever I was but a wee boy, the guitar came with a bunch of stickers and a bunch of, various other things that I could strap onto it. So I stuck on, some stickers. In this case, it was like planets, and there used to be a star right here and all sorts of stuff. And I did that whenever I was probably about, 4 years old maybe. So I was this young boy, guitar, had no idea what it actually was. Put some stickers on it because I'm a kid and kids love stickers and it was the coolest thing in the world, right? And then whenever I was probably about 15 maybe. I once again came back to this guitar because I was like, learning guitar would be pretty fun. Let's go ahead and check out that, tiny little acoustic that I've had for basically my entire life. And I saw the stickers on the back and I was like, God, I hate that. So I start peeling them off. And as I'm peeling them off and, discarding them, I'm like, wait a second. These stickers have been on this guitar for like this is the legacy of this guitar. This has been, on here for my entire life. Why am I peeling these stickers off? I know that, it's not really something I would want to have on an actual guitar, but this isn't an actual guitar. This is the guitar that I got at the beginning of my life. So I went ahead and I stopped peeling off the stickers, and we still have a planet and some of a star left as a result of that. And my grandmother's signature. How do you like that? I had no idea that was going to be there. But man, I almost don't want to play this thing now because the signature is going to rub up against my body. I guess if I hold it out like this, I don't want to rub it off. Maybe I'll take some clear coat spray paint or something and spray paint over that just to make sure that it's preserved, just a little bit, because that really is incredible. I had no idea that my grandmother's signature was on this thing. But besides that, tons of scratches and dings and whatnot just from this thing being used as essentially a child's toy. We do have straps or little strap connectors on the guitar, kind of on the bottom of the neck, something that you would expect on a left-handed guitar. But this is clearly a right-handed guitar with the location of the pickguard right there. So I don't really know why the little strap button is on the bottom of our neck. Not that it really matters. Okay, the height of the strings, I don't like the height of the strings. Anywhere beyond, say, the 5th fret or so, they go up to half a centimeter plus. But considering that this is just a child's toy, I would not really complain about that. I'm probably not going to play this thing beyond the 5th fret anyway, if I do ever play this thing again. I don't really want to. I'm not going to get rid of it for any reason whatsoever, but I also don't foresee me breaking it out and playing Kumbaya with it. I imagine that this right here is just plastic nut, plastic bridge. As a matter of fact, our little plastic nut on the bridge right there, if I remove that, I'm willing to bet that I can drop the action down on this at least a little bit so so I can get some playability out of this guitar. Besides that, we got covers right here on our tuners. Yeah, it looks like those right there just lift off if you feel like replacing strings. I don't foresee me replacing the strings on this thing. I haven't replaced the strings on this thing in, the entire time that it has existed. They look like just cheapo, unbranded tuners. This right here does not have a truss rod in it, and as a result, the neck is bowed a little bit. That probably is a contribution to the height of our strings right here. Let me go ahead and take out that nut, see if I can lower these strings a little bit, and we will see what happens with that. Then we'll go ahead and see how it sounds. This thing is just covered in dust as well, as I'm sure you guys have noticed. One thing I do like about these guitars is just how lightweight it is. This is probably like a 2-pound guitar, but most of my guitars are just covered in dust because they've been sitting inside the closet for an incredibly long time. Normally, whenever I play guitar, I got like 2 guitars that I actually play, and then the rest are just like, hey, I have this to show off, or I have that to show off, but I also never show off my guitars. So, yeah, they just kind of sit in a closet and gather a bunch of dust. So let me take care of this, retune that, see if I can drop that action a little bit, because that action is absolutely atrocious. And we're going to see if we can actually make this into a decent little playing guitar. Alright, so I went ahead and I removed our nut on our bridge completely to where we dropped this action down pretty much as far as it's going to go. If I were to sand down the bridge just a little bit, we might be able to lower that action even farther, but that is dramatically better than what it was. We're at like, I don't know, 4 or 5 millimeters. At this point, I don't have a way to actually measure that, but that is, like I said, a dramatic drop in comparison to what we were at. There is still that bow in the neck, so we are going to have some raise down here on the higher end frets, but that's not really something that we can do anything about, and it's not something that we should even worry about whenever it comes to a child's guitar. So let's go ahead. The one thing that I do want to say about this guitar, growing up, I always noticed that whenever I actually wanted to learn how to play it, my fingers were always extremely large for this thing. Like, look at that. I can do, if I were to do a bar chord, I would cover up the entire fret with one of these. So I cannot guarantee that this right here will even begin to sound good with my large, meaty claws. Here's an E. That actually does sound good. E minor. Lots of clarity behind that. I am legitimately impressed behind that. Yep, I'm having those large finger troubles here. There we go. Let's try an A minor. A little bit of a, where are we buzzing at? I think I'm just hitting that low E too hard. There we go. That's better. Let's try A7. A minor. Fantastic. That actually does sound pretty gosh darn decent. D. There we go. D minor. I could actually learn how to play this thing. I thought my fingers were going to be way too big to actually make a legitimate video on this, but the chords are really not that difficult to do. Let's try a more difficult one. Here's our G. That does sound good. Man, that actually sounds really delightful. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do the whole Pink Floyd thing like I always do in all of my videos. Man, this sounds fantastic. Why have I not been playing this little guitar? Alright, because of the fret size, I'm noticing that my muscle memory is trying to have me go either shorter or farther distances because I'm used to having larger frets on larger guitars. Let's try that part again. Close enough. And then they go into the G and they start strumming, and the vocals come in. Don't expect me to start singing on that. But I am legitimately surprised at just how capable I am at playing these tiny little frets. I feel like just a little bit of practice on this thing to kind of get my orientation in would be, you know, a substantial help in being able to play this guitar. Because like I said, I'm used to playing, you know, fret sizes that are probably about this fret size plus another half on your full-size guitars. And I'm willing to bet that I would probably have quite a few difficulties playing something up here. Let's do... I like this little lick that I do. Well, because it's such a small guitar, the low E string, it just doesn't have that much bass behind it. But I mean, look at this thing. The thing's probably about 3 inches thick, and it's clearly a child-sized guitar. So playing some bassy things, it's just not really there. And that's just one of the things that you get whenever you get a tiny little guitar like this. The actual acoustic sound of the guitar is not going to be all that great, but it does make noise. As far as I can tell, the higher notes are probably going to be the... Yeah, those are definitely the more vibrant sounds as opposed to... They're just louder because this guitar doesn't... It lacks the structural integrity to have a significant bass behind it. But if you want some snappy sound... Fantastic. As a matter of fact, that low E string doesn't even sound like it's very much in tune anymore. Are you still in tune, bitch? Nope. Yep, that E string is right where it needs to be. Fantastic. So that's just... It sounds so out of tune because it just doesn't sound like a low E string should, because I'm used to playing these other guitars. Let's do something that requires more of these lower strings. I can't remember how to play this still. I never did look that up. Something like that. Come on, baby. There we go. Ah, God. We are really getting into some small frets now. Okay, there we go. Is that our... Nope. There we go. That's the right one. Okay, so... Yeah, I don't think that, like, past this fret, I would be able to play... I don't think I'd be able to play... Nope. That's just... My fingers are literally just too large to be able to play on those higher end frets, especially if I were to go like something like the 12th. Maybe I could pull that off, but man, I'm really pushing it on that one. Okay, well, this is the little first act guitar that my grandmother had given me. And my God, is it a beautiful piece. This is FG 121, first act quality crafted guitars. First act discovery. Okay, well, I am pleasantly surprised with this thing. I'm going to go ahead and keep the nut off, as a matter of fact. I don't want to deface the bridge. I was going to say I was going to sand on the bridge some, but in all honesty, I would rather just keep the bridge in its original integrity, simply because this is very literally my first guitar given to me by my grandmother, and I definitely don't want to get around to defacing it. It's pretty incredible, actually. I'm sure that these guitars are not very expensive, but I have messed around with some very inexpensive guitars, and I've never had one that sounds like a very inexpensive guitar that sounds as good as this does. I mean, that is some legitimate clarity right there. The frets are kind of on the small side. Come on, baby. Okay, come on. There we go. A might be a little too difficult on this guitar with my big ol' sausage fingers. I'm willing to bet that I can still do this one though. Yep, that sounds good. There we go. It does sound good. For what it is, it does sound good. It's just very difficult to play. Well, it's not as difficult as I was expecting, but there we go. That is this one. All right, well, I gotta say I am legitimately pleased with how this video turned out. I was expecting, really expecting for this to be like a 3-minute long video where I come out here and I'm like, yep, it's not staying in tune, yep, it sounds like garbage, yep, I can't do anything with it because it's just a child's guitar and it looks like a toy, but it's got a cool story behind it. And the fact that my grandmother signed it, that is awesome, dude. That is awesome. As a matter of fact, I gotta send a photo of that to my mother because she is just gonna. That's sentimental right there. My little first act guitar has my grandmother's signature on it. Her mother. That's gonna bring some tears. In all honesty, it's kind of hard to fight them back now. Anyway, let's go ahead and just finish this up before I start going off on some sort of tangent. Not the best of guitars, but I have no idea how much this guitar was actually worth. As a matter of fact, I might look that up and put, a value sign somewhere on the screen, see if I can find just how valuable these little guitars are nowadays. I imagine that it would have been less valuable like the 20 years ago, whenever it was that I had actually gotten this thing. This is a 20-year-old guitar. Maybe that's why the wood sounds as good as it does. I'm sure that it's just like plywood and not the best quality of plywood at that. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact that this right here is just like laminated wood because you can see the scratches whenever they have, dug through the top laminate into the plywood underneath. As a matter of fact, it almost looks like particle board. Definitely don't want to get this guitar wet or anything like that. But hey, there we go. This right here was my first guitar, little first act with a beautiful story behind it. Growing up, it was it was more or less, like I said, a toy or a prop for whenever I was doing stuff. Like, of course, growing up, a very popular game was Cowboys and Indians back during those days. And hey, cowboys have guns and cowboys have guitars and cowboys have cowboy hats and they got the big boots, and I had myself my whole setup, but I also had my Indian setup, and no matter what setup it is I was going for and what I was playing with, somebody with a guitar was this was a pretty good prop whenever it came to playing around, and I'm still playing with it even to this day. Don't take that sentence out of context. Good quality? No. Beautiful story? Yes. I do want to say though, I really like the way that the neck looks. It's probably not going to show up all that great on camera. There's a significant difference in the way that the wood looks on the body of the guitar versus the neck. I think that the neck is one solid piece of wood. Just with what I'm seeing and how this looks, the grain on the neck is dramatically different than what we see along the actual body of the guitar. I have no idea how well that's going to show up on camera, but I'll go ahead and try and show that off here. There's definitely a substantial difference. You can actually see the grain of the wood on this versus the back of the guitar where it almost looks like it's been painted. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. I do appreciate your time. Hopefully you will be around for the next episode. I know I will. So I will see you guys on that next episode because I have a few more things that I want to check out. And today's the perfect day to do it because I have city workers outside and I can't blow stuff up right now because gunfire and explosives with city workers around is probably not the best idea. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic